This is Jim from SWAT Environmental, and he is a technician that's going to remediate this issue here. And this is our first start, was making a hole in the exterior wall.
Drilling holes. Yep.
Okay, now this is the pipe to coming outside to take the air outside. We'll be joining a pipe that's going to go into the concrete floor to take the radon gas up the pipe and outside.
Okay, so I'm going to run the pipe down slightly above the floor. We're going to drill a hole in the concrete to access the material that's underneath where all the radon is pressurizing. And then we're going to draw it out with the fan that's going to be outside. And that's going to draw the radon from underneath the house and stop it from getting into the house. Basically, in layman's terms, it's an exhaust fan for underneath of your house.
Okay.
So we are slightly above, but really should have no issues getting it down. These systems are very efficient. They work very well as far as navigating the radon. Some wire over here. Let's see. Actually, just drill it through and run it through the juice.
This will be the outlet for the switch on the fan.
Correct. Will be the electric to power the fan. Finishing or building that's done in this area.
What was that, Jim?
So we want to keep the wires up out of the way for any future building or finishing of this area.
Okay.
So keep them away from the joisters and that'll avoid any issues down the road.
Excellent.
Allows for more radon to come up at a higher rate. So you can test it 1 minute and be under 4, and then test it down the road and be high above 4. That's not uncommon, but still very fixable. Once you have a system in place, that's no longer an issue because it doesn't matter how fast or how much it tries to push its way up. We'll be drawing it out before it even has a chance to get into the food.
And weather has a lot to do with it, doesn't it, Jim?
When you're doing testing, if you have heavy rains or snow, that can definitely affect it. It's what's called soil capping outside. And basically what that means is the rain or snow kind of creates a barrier on top of the ground that does not allow the normal outside radon to push its way up as easy. Mm-hmm. So it looks for the driest point, which is typically under the house.
I see.
That's why your levels may be elevated. With heavy rains or snow or anything like that, just from what would naturally escape not being able to get out like it would. So to the driest point, which is the house, it's easiest to get up.
I see. Go.
Okay, so when a builder puts in what's called a passive radon system, basically what that means is they run a pipe into the gravel before they pour the concrete, and that pipe they run up through the house and out through the roof. And then typically what we do is come in to the attic, cut a small section of the pipe out and put the fan in line, and that's called activating it. That's switching from a passive to an active radon system, and that allows you to not have everything on the outside, and it just helps to to have a nice clean system. You don't have to see everything ran on the outside. It's not mandatory for the builders to do this, but it's certainly nice when they do for everyone. So that's where they're trying to head, you know, that direction of having the builders put those in all the new homes. But in the case when that's not the issue and they don't put a passive system in, that's when you have to run the pipe in, down into the floor, and out up the side of the house.
Right.
That's fine to have it behind the wall or to be enclosed. I would recommend a small access panel to see the pressure gauge if it is going to be covered up. Nothing, doesn't have to be too large, just enough to be able to see it. It's a very soft stone that you can even break apart with your hand. As that just breaks down, it releases gas that builds up and then pushes its way into the house.
So now we have
a
hole.
collection pit underneath of the
Whoops,
slab.
I'm in the light.
It's an open void space. So we're going to stub the pipe down into there and start a suction.
Hole in the floor will come out of the hole. Now you said you had to dig a pit. How far down do you go into the dirt?
Well, it's not so much how far you go down. You want to make it wide, and you just want to give it room to breathe. We take roughly 12 gallons of dirt and rock out there. This is a 12-gallon shop vac that gets filled up, and then you see what's in the bucket there, probably another 2 or 3 gallons in there. So when you're dealing with dirt or clay underneath instead of gravel, you definitely want to take a good bit out of there and give yourself a good clear pit so that the system works properly.
So it's a little more circulation down there.
Exactly, yeah. When you have gravel, you don't really have that problem because you can, it's very permeable. You can pull through gravel, stone, with no problem. When you're talking about compacted dirt and clay, it's harder to pull through that, so you want to give a nice area under there.
I see. Excellent.
And, we're moving right along. So basically, just continuing the pipe from the outside down underneath of the concrete slab, so that when we turn the fan on, we have our suction point completed and ready to go, and we can begin to pull the radon out from underneath, create that negative pressure so that, like I said before, the radon can't pressurize and push its way up. Everything will be sealed around so that it's airtight, and that's pretty much the gist of it. There's no maintenance, there's no filters to change, there's nothing you have to do besides just keeping it running and keep an eye on your pressure gauge to make sure the thing is running at all times. And it's really a pretty self-sufficient system.
So we are now connected from under the house to outside.
That's it. That's all you're going to see on the inside. And then run the pipe up to the roof line, which is National Radon Code, and then hooking the electric to it and powering it on. Everything is clamped and secured to the house so that the pipe is stable throughout any kind of conditions. And just going to vent over the roof line and dissipate to the atmosphere. So the National Radon Code is to run the vent stack above the roof line. You have to run it all the way up so there's no chance of it coming in through any windows or openings and making its way back into the house. That's one of the most looked for codes that a lot of systems fail to do, and that's when you have issues if you don't run it above the roof line. That's one of the big things they look for good reason. You want to make sure you're not just recycling it and having it coming back in through your windows. So that's why they do it that way. Even though it's not the most aesthetically pleasing, it's necessary for the system. So that's what we have to do every time, every installation. So that's why they have those codes, and that's why we have to follow them.
Perfect. Okay, so out here is good. We'll be putting the fan, hooking it up now. Let it run.
We've got to wire it up, get it started, and let it start drawing its vacuum from underneath. And that's pretty much how the system works. It's just like an exhaust fan for underneath the house. That's due to the material underneath not being very permeable, and it's having to pull a stronger suction, which is making the pressure high. You're going to run into that anytime you have dirt or clay underneath instead of gravel. But typically this is how you're always going to see it.
Okay.
That's showing your fan is drawing a negative pressure, everything's working properly. It should never change. If it goes to 0 or if it goes dramatically higher or anything like that, that's when you definitely want to call your radon mitigator and have them check everything out, make sure everything is working.
Okay.
It's not something you have to check every day or on a regular basis. Just if you're, happen to be down looking at the system and it's on 0, then there's some sort of issue.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there's no maintenance, there's no filters you have to change, nothing you have to do to the system. That gauge is really the only thing to make note of. It's just going to continue to run. It runs all the time. It's low energy use, but it has to continuously create a draw for that radon because it's going to continuously try to push its way up.
Okay.
That's the gist of the operation. Hopefully, I was able to educate you guys a little better on the systems and how they're ran and why they're ran certain ways and why they look the way they do. And hopefully,
Well, it looks good. I mean, it's got it going out. Monitor it.
Yep, that's basically it.
And it's good.
The EPA recommends retesting the property every 2 years. That's solely up to the homeowner. As long as the system is not disturbed, everything continues to run, the radon level should not be able to elevate any longer. But EPA does suggest just retesting precautionary every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That can be done numerous ways, either by purchasing a test kit from a hardware store or from a mitigation company, having them tested or getting a kit from them,
Mm-hmm.
or having a third party like a home inspector come in with their testing process. That's typically the most expensive route. If you're just doing it to recheck it every now and then, probably the best way to go, most efficient way is just to get a test kit from a like I said, a hardware store or a mitigation company and just do it yourself. Hang it up. Very simple to use, very accurate. But that way you can make sure everything is staying where it needs to be.
Excellent. Jim, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Great job, as always.
Thank you very much.
And you certainly come highly recommended. SWAT Environmental.
Yeah, we're the largest radon company in the nation. We do just about every state in the country. We're readily available. Any questions, you can always call us or look us up online. and we'll answer any questions you may have.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, very good. I hope this was informative. Oh, people always say, what are they going to do and what's really happening? So now we know. I thank you again. I look forward to next time.
Absolutely. Not a
Thanks,
problem.
Jim.
Alrighty.